What was missing from the conversation that made you want to add your voice?
Timing. What we need depends on where we are in the history of this country. The topography of this country has changed in terms of how we make a living quite a bit, from agricultural. We went through that phase to industrial age, to the information age that we're currently in right now. And people have had to retool themselves in order to keep up with trends they didn't choose. Now we're in an era where people of my generation send our kids to school because we train them to think a job. And we said, if you go to school and you get a good education, you're going to come out and you're going to get a great job. And that was true when I was coming up. But that's not true today. Today you can, yeah, am I right about it? Today you can go to school, you can get a great education and come out with a good bill. A whole lot of debt and end up working at Burger King. Nothing against Burger King. But how do we, I have to be careful, brother, like we get sued on the regular. The question then becomes, how do we, with our education and our disappointment, living in our mother's house, sleeping on the couch, eating cereal at noon, retool ourselves so that we can be functional in the 21st century? Mm-hmm. I listen to the argument that our country's having right now. It's hard to listen to. But beneath all of the chatter, the red belt states and the inner cities are crying about the same thing: the lack of opportunity. And we're looking to the White House to solve the problem. And the reality is that's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen. About hiring yourself, about the opportunities that exist to create your own reality, your own business, your own company, to be the CEO of you. The CEO of you.
And I think it's...
And what happens in life as we evolve as a person, we cannot allow ourselves to be incarcerated by anything that people would describe us with, because we limit then what the Holy Spirit can do in your life. Mm-hmm. You understand? At the core of everything, SOAR is saying, don't be limited. Don't put a period because you did one thing that you can't do something else, that you can't be something else, that you can't evolve as an individual, that you can't explore other idioms of thought.
I know the point is that God has given each of us a calling, but I think a lot of us, when we hear about the parable of the talents, we don't know, well, do I have one? Do I have two? Do I have five? I don't want to get out there and do something stupid that I wasn't meant to do, but I don't want to stop short.
You're really hitting on something. First thing, I am in touch with myself in a way that a lot of people are not. I know me. I've dated me.
Cool.
Yeah. It's funny, but it's true. I've dated me. I know me. You know, when you date somebody, you explore them to see who they are. Most people are so busy dating other people they never dated themselves. You understand? When God says to Adam, the very first command God says to Adam is to be fruitful. You can only be fruitful if you are seedful. Okay, so we're talking about the difference between fruit and seed. Identifying your seed is what causes you to be fruitful. There are people in this room that have dormant seeds laying inside of them, that if they get in the right atmosphere, they're going to turn into things you have never seen before. They didn't always have the benefit of parents who could see it or had time to see it or knew how to see it. But even as adults, there are still seeds down in you that have not been touched yet. That's what happened to Elisha. He was fulfilling his parents' vision, plowing in the field. That boy wasn't no farmer. Just because you can run a plow doesn't mean you're a farmer. Right. But sometimes we get stuck in what people expect. Right. And we never find out who we are because we're living somebody else's dream. And so there he is plowing in the field doing what his daddy wanted and going around and said, I guess this is all life has for me. And he's going around and around in circles. Like many people are listening to me right now. You go to work, go to church, go home. Go to work, go to church, go home. Go to work, go to church, go home. You're plowing around in circles until Elijah passed by him. And then he was exposed to something. The moment he was exposed to something greater, he dropped something lesser. You understand what I'm saying?
Got it.
That's why conversations like this are important, because really, I'm not throwing seeds, I'm throwing fertilizer. And if it hits the seed, it's going to give birth to companies and businesses and books and artistry and drama and all kinds of stuff that's in this room that people never have given themselves permission to burn their plow.
Yeah.
That's what this book is all about, Pastor. It is about, I'm not against people working a job, but we have entrepreneurs in a job, and you're frustrating the company and you. In the morning, you should devour the prey. In the evening, you should divide the spoils. If you don't devour when you're young, you'll have nothing to divide when you're old.
It's incredible.
I am scared to death of people who are young and saying, I just can't figure it out. I haven't made up my mind yet. I tried that, I didn't like it. I don't know, maybe I'll do that. I think you better hurry.
Right. Right.
You better shoot something right now.
Right.
Because youth goes quick.
Right.
I mean, like, it goes like a runaway slave. It goes. Youth is an underground railroad with Harriet Tubman. It gets away, okay? So hear me, people. In the morning, devour something. Throw your whole self at something. You'll never know what you can do and what you can be until you throw your whole self at it. Devour it. I mean, devour it. Don't try it. Devour it. Attack it. Attack it like you're going to kill it. Devour the prey. And in the evening, you divide the spoils. We have it backwards today. We want to divide the spoils in the morning. So we're blinging when we ought to be devouring. See, don't worry about whose name you wear when you're young. Worry about your name. God told Abraham, I will make your name great.
Yeah.
I will make your name great. There is an old person down inside of you that's dependent on you to be smart. It's the person you're going to be 30, 40 years from now. Do not disappoint that person by being foolish through the strongest years of your life. And then when your back is out and your knees are swollen and you can't move around, now you're out there going to get your grind on now? It is the message you tell yourself. I'm tired, I can't do that, I don't feel like. We become what we say to ourselves.
Be good.
You will never win the Olympics talking about, oh no, I don't feel like working out today. I don't know, I'll do it when I feel like it. If I don't feel like it, I don't do it. It's because I'm not into working out. I want to get the trophy. I want the trophy, but I don't want to go through what it takes to get it. You devour in the morning. You divide in the evening. And if you try something and it doesn't work, it's okay. Try something else. If my son said to me, he said, Daddy, he said, my baby boy, he said, Daddy, I'm going to school. He's finishing up a 4-year degree in musical engineering. He said, I think it's the thing I want to do. But he said at the dining room table with me, he said, but suppose I'm not, suppose it's not. Suppose I throw everything at it and it's really not the thing. And I leaned back over the table and I said, don't worry about it, son. If it is not the thing, it will be the thing that leads to the thing.
Okay. Let's go into that. But I love the quote in the book. You compare our vision to architecture. And you talk about how if you plan it with a pencil, you can weld it with steel. And that's what surprised me about you, because you're so gifted. There's no denying that. When I saw the systems, the structures, the thought process that goes behind who you are, it almost made me depressed because I realized, oh, this isn't magic. You may have stumbled into it from one perspective, but from another perspective, it was strategic stumbling. At least you were trying to do something.
Let me interrupt you.
Please.
You stumble into it. God gives you an opportunity, and what you do with that opportunity is your gift to him.
Got it.
You understand? When God gives you an opportunity, instead of just jumping on the opportunity, you're supposed to see what it can be. I tell them all the time, you know, God never made not one table.
Yeah, I love this. Do this. This is really.
God never made a chair. In all of his years of being God, he's never made a chair. He's never made a table. He just made a tree. And the rest of it was up to us.
Right.
When God hands you a tree, imagine a table, a chair, imagine a wall in a room, imagine a log cabin, imagine what it can be, imagine what it can be, imagine what it can be. God of mercy. If he hands you a child, imagine what it can be. If he hands you a spouse, imagine what he can be. Oh God, I feel his power. I feel his presence. I want you to look around your life for trees, not tables. God's gonna bring it within the reach of your mind, and your creativity is gonna take it the rest of the way. And it's gonna turn into apps, and it's gonna turn into Apple phones, and it's gonna turn into computers, it's gonna turn into satellite systems in the heavens. Look at what all we were able to do. No other creature, no other species has sent satellites up into the air, created smartphones. Look at what we did with our head. Why are we in church not using our head? I don't understand it. For this season, for this stage, for this age in my life, what could I do with what I have left? Your miracle is never in what you lost. It is always in what you have left. If you're down to a handful of meal, that's all you need. If you're down to 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, that's all you need. And so when you start looking at what you have left, stop grieving over what you lost. Because if you needed it, you wouldn't have lost it. It might only be a pot of oil, but if it's left, the miracle's always in what's left. So what can you imagine with that? That woman, that pot of oil would have never done anything if you didn't pour it. It would pour as long as there was capacity to receive.
Yeah.
Stephen said something. He said, all of us CEOs know it is not where we're trying to go that is the problem. You can get great consensus from all of your staff on the goal. And we spend all of our time talking about the goal of where we're trying to go. He said, but all of you CEOs know that's not the problem. It is not where we're trying to go that is the problem. It is what are you willing to leave behind to get there. It's what are you willing to leave behind. If you're gonna soar, if you're gonna soar, you have to break a law to soar. The law is the law of gravity. The Wright brothers had to figure this out, that every time they tried to go up, Isaac Newton was right, something kept pulling them down. There are people in this room that every time they go after their dream, something keeps pulling them down. They want to open up a not-for-profit. They want to open up a healthcare. They want to open up a home for unwed mothers. There's some lovely, good things. It's not about being rich. It's about purpose that they're trying to do. But every time they try to do it, that something keeps pulling them down. There is a law that always wants to pull you down to where you came from.
Yeah.
You came from the dirt, and where you came from will always call you back. You have to escape the gravitational pull of where you came from. And in order to do that, you have to break through into a higher law. The higher law is the law of aerodynamics. But you have to break into it. And what I need the force for it, the reason I need the runway to get my engines ramped up is because when I come up against it, and this is where young people make a mistake, they underestimate the pull to fall backwards. They saw planes take off and they said, I can do that, but they underestimate how much force it takes to break through the gravitational pull that brings you back down. So when they fall back down, they give up on themselves and they stop believing in themselves. Whereas if you would just go faster at it and go harder at it, you would break through the law of gravity. Oh, hallelujah.
Wow.
You know?